Coming up on Mountain News this morning, Iranian officials announced that a new leader of Iran has been named. And President Trump is expected to visit northern Kentucky on Wednesday. We'll tell you why.
Dedicated to eastern and southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Welcome to Mountain News This Morning. I'm McKinley Calandrino, live on air with you this Monday, March 9th. The time is now 6 a.m. Let's check in with First Alert meteorologist Megan Desmall for a look at your forecast this morning. Megan, I'm praying that you can tell us that some sunny, warm weather is on the way.
It is for today. There's the good news. We do have some sunshine, definitely dealing with that warmth as you're heading out. But of course, this morning, not dealing with both those things just quite yet. Mostly fog and a slightly chilly temperature. So here's what we're looking at that current visibility. Seeing very dense patchy fog for those folks in our far southern county. A dense fog advisory out for many folks. And in terms of what we're expecting on satellite and radar, nice and dry this morning. And that's the way we're going to stay with sunny skies in the forecast by the afternoon. Now, before we get there, you just got to deal with some slightly chilly temperatures this morning. A mixture of the low to mid 40s for our western counties and upper 40s, low 50s for our eastern counties. High temperatures for the day. Altogether, though, in a mixture of the mid to upper 70s. McKinley.
All right, thank you, Megan. New this morning, firefighters in London are on the scene of an apartment fire near Spring Street. The London Fire Department says the fire was contained to one apartment and crews were able to rescue one person from the building. Emergency crews are still working at the scene and drivers are being asked to avoid the area so firefighters have room to operate. It is not clear yet what caused the fire or if anyone was injured, but we'll continue to follow this story and bring you any updates. U.S. Central Command says that a 7th U.S. service member has been killed in the war with Iran. A statement on X reads, last night a U.S. service member passed away from injuries received during the Iranian regime's initial attacks across the Middle East. The service member was seriously wounded at the scene of an attack on U.S. troops in Saudi Arabia on March 1st. This is the 7th service member killed in action during Operation Epic Fury, and major combat operations continue. The identity of the fallen soldier will be withheld until the next 24 hours after next of kin is notified. Iranian officials announced early today that a new leader of Iran has been named. Mojtaba Khamenei, the son of Iran's late supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, will assume this position his father held until he was killed by U.S. and Israeli forces in the early stages of Operation Epic Fury. The selection of a new leader came as the U.S. and Iran engaged in missile launches throughout the weekend. The U.S. lobbed a series of missiles against Tehran, while Iran fired missiles upon a number of U.S. allies in the region, including Bahrain. The U.S. military has once again attacked a suspected drug trafficking boat in the eastern Pacific Ocean. Sunday's attack killed 6 people. That's according to U.S. Southern Command. Officials say the boat was traveling along a known drug trafficking route in the eastern Pacific. The U.S. claims the people on the boat were involved in a drug operation. The United States has conducted dozens of strikes in the Caribbean Sea and the eastern Pacific Ocean since last September. At least 157 people have been killed in those attacks. Governor Andy Beshear spoke about the U.S. military's involvement in Iran during a campaign event in New Hampshire this weekend. Beshear is still in New Hampshire campaigning for local Democrats. Yesterday, he took questions from union workers and spoke about the role organized labor plays in helping the working class. During his visit, he was asked about the U.S. military's actions in Iran, which he says have not been justified.
If a president is going to take a country to war, risk the lives of American troops and Americans in the region, he has to have a real justification and not one that seems to change every 5 to 10 hours. There has to be an immediate threat to move from diplomacy to force. This president seems to use force before ever trying diplomacy.
Beshear spent the day in New Hampshire again yesterday with events scheduled in several cities. Here in Kentucky, the average price for a regular gallon of gas is $3.11. That's lower than the current national average, which is $3.45, according to AAA. But Kentucky's average has jumped up from $2.64 last week and $2.57 1 month ago. This is a look at the average diesel prices in Kentucky. The current average is $4.31, up from $3.44 last week and $3.31 a month ago. Kentucky Congressman Thomas Massie took to social media yesterday afternoon to comment on those gas prices. He says waging war cost American taxpayers about $1 billion per day. Massie says that comes out to $10 per family per day, or $100 since the war began. He wrote, "This isn't America first." A state lawmaker is pushing to expand Kentucky's Amber Alert system. Senate Bill 289 would broaden the criteria for when authorities can issue an alert. The proposal comes after a case out of Rockcastle County. Police say a 13-year-old girl reported missing last October was found 2 months later in Maryland with a 37-year-old man. Republican Senator Brandon Storm filed the bill. It would make it clear that any child in the Commonwealth, including those in state custody or the juvenile justice system, can be reported missing and qualify for an alert.
It's about all children. We just want to make sure that they're safe and that online predators are being held accountable.
Storm says he hopes the bill will move to the Judiciary Committee next week. A bill that would change how alcohol and cannabis-infused beverages are taxed is under consideration in Frankfort. House Bill 9 would add a 4% state retail tax to customers and additional taxes for retailers. CEO and founder of Cannabuzz, Annie Rouse, says the tax isn't the problem, but how it is calculated could pose a problem. She says the introduction of House Bill 9 means retailers may not be able to absorb the cost of supply chain and retail taxes, eventually passing it on to customers.
So kind of taxed in multiple levels. There's still some work that needs to be done to kind of clean it up and maybe move some of those taxes around so it's just one tax.
Rouse says the tax would be per milligram of THC in a product rather than a tax on the product's value. She says this is why she is working with legislators to keep them understand the best way for the state to earn tax revenue on products without harming industries. President Trump is expected to visit northern Kentucky on Wednesday. An event invitation we obtained says the president will visit the Verst Logistics Contact Packing Facility in Boone County. The doors will open at 1 p.m. The invitation does not include any details about the event or why President Trump will be there, but we do know that Trump will also be in Cincinnati that day. There, he'll discuss the launch of Trump RX, his initiative aimed at lowering drug prescription prices in the U.S., and his economic accomplishments. That's according to the White House. He's being hosted by Thermo Fisher Scientific. It'll be his first time back in Queen City since being sworn in as president last year.
We're dealing with some chillier temperatures this morning. A mixture of some 40s and 50s are expected. You'll notice it's a tad chillier for those in our western counties, seeing a mixture of the upper 30s, low to mid 40s. But as you travel more towards the east, we're looking at mid to upper 40s and for some even low 50s. This is very warm for this time of year still, so keep that in mind. But by the afternoon, we're going to continue that abnormally warm trend with the 70s in the forecast. Again, very warm for this time of year with mostly sunny skies expected. Now, in terms of what we're seeing right now, it's nice and clear. And again, that's the way we're pretty much going to stay throughout the day. So definitely go out and enjoy this weather before those rain chances begin to ramp up. That'll start Tuesday, and the storm chances will really ramp up as we're heading into your Wednesday afternoon. Now, in terms of what you can expect, though, planning forecast wise, high temperatures will be around that 4 o'clock time frame. McKinley.
All right, thank you, Megan. Thanks for getting your day started with us here on Mountain News this morning. Still to come, the London Laurel Rescue Squad helped a person and a dog from Laurel River Lake.